Hi, I'm Ritvich Parekh. I'm a Knight Fellow at the International Center for Journalists. I'm also the co-founder of Proto, a media development startup in India. I'm here with my co-authors, Nidhi Nair and Shubham Devedi. The paper is on understanding cognition and how it makes misinformation persuasive in WhatsApp. Let's get started. Free speech combined with free reach has resulted in an exponential rise in misinformation in the fields of public interest. However, most solutions like fact checking do not work in closed networks like WhatsApp, primarily because the data cannot be accessed. In 2019, WhatsApp commissioned us to test out a verification tip line during the Indian general elections. From this experience, we learned that the ideal solution must be scalable and should not intervene after the fact. Hence, we started looking at this problem from the vantage point of cognitive psychology. Prior research tells us that prompts in software can introduce just enough friction to make users stop and think. Prior research also tells us that cognition does not happen in an instant. In fact, Lewandowski has identified factors that determine susceptibility to a piece of misinformation. Building on this, we break our line of inquiry into three parts. First, can we break an incoming message into cognitive factors that make it persuasive? Second, can we use these factors to create clusters of misinformation? Finally, for each cluster, can we test out prompts that would introduce doubt to reduce susceptibility? The advantage of this approach is that it works for both open and closed networks. It also introduces a uniform method to study misinformation and thus allows for pattern discovery. Finally, if it works, it would be scalable. In this paper, we ask only the first question from our line of inquiry. How does cognition impact a message recipient's susceptibility to visual misinformation of a political nature on WhatsApp? The paper's central thesis is that susceptibility to misinformation can be broken into five factors: relevance, ease of comprehension, bias, story coherence, and influence. Let us understand each one. It turns out that people only read those messages that are relevant to them. A relevant message is timely, matches the recipient's context, and has an impact on the recipient's life. A message that is irrelevant will be accepted without much introspection. We have identified five questions to test for relevance. Second, when a message is easy to comprehend, people consume it without effort. Hence, we assess if the message is clear and draws attention to key ideas. We have identified four questions to check for ease of comprehension. Third, people tend to question messages that get them riled up. This happens if the message triggers a bias for the recipient, especially a negative bias. A message that is consistent with the recipient's bias invites lesser scrutiny. Conversely, a message that is inconsistent with the recipient's belief will elicit negative feelings. Fourth, people tend to get suspicious of messages that have contradictory stories. For this, a message should not be self-contradicting. Additionally, it should cohere with the mainstream public opinion. Finally, a message that is perceived to be credible invites less scrutiny. Some messages carry markers of influence like logos and photos of celebrities. In contrast, some messages are influential because of who sent the message to the recipient. People tend to trust messages from friends and family. These factors led to a total of 16 questions that assess susceptibility to visual messages. To design answer choices for each question, we relied on a nominal scale. Each question has four options. However, these options are neither progressing in one direction nor of equal weight. Hence, instead of choosing labels like 1, 2, 3, 4, which can mislead, we have chosen random letters as labels for these categories: H, L, A, and Z. When combined, we get the scoring grid with 16 questions and 64 answer choices. To validate these questions, we test the framework with data collected in Checkpoint. for comprehensiveness, skewness, and ambiguity. Let us look at some examples. All of these examples are situated in the cultural and political context of the Indian general elections of 2019. Just before the elections, India and Pakistan had a border conflict. The first visual message has a photograph of the Indian Air Force pilot who was captured by the Pakistanis. This message scores high on relevance because it was recent, politically charged, and well known. The second message here scores low on ease of comprehension because it is full of text, there is no hierarchy in how the information is presented, and it has no images. It would take much effort to read such a dense photograph on WhatsApp. The first image here scores high on bias. It identifies and targets a political party and negatively talks about it. The second image here scores low on external story coherence. Here you have the Prime Minister of India paying respect to his political opponent. Such an event goes strongly against the mainstream narrative. The first image here scores high on influence. It copies the color scheme, look and feel, and logo of an established mainstream news channel and puts misinformation inside of it. While the central thesis is derived from concrete research, it has only been tested on a narrow data set with a political context in 5 languages. Additionally, since the data was crowdsourced, the data might not be a representative sample. Lastly, the analysis was performed by 2 analysts. The framework would benefit by being validated by means of a survey. We conclude by identifying 4 insights. First, because of the nature of closed networks, individual level analysis and cognitive psychology might be one of the few paths to study misinformation in closed networks. Second, the framework proposes 16 questions across 5 factors to assess susceptibility. Third, the proposed framework is equally applicable to both closed and open networks. Finally, it might open up new applications in the form of prompts in social media platforms and designs for verification reports. We anticipate 4 areas of further research. First, conduct a more extensive study to refine the framework. Second, using these factors, create clusters to organize misinformation based on format and cognitive effect it has on recipients. Third, test out if well-designed prompts in social media can add enough doubt to reduce mindless consumption of misinformation. And last, design and test new formats of verification reports that not only debunk but also debias by explaining why a piece of information is working well. As research into countering misinformation enhances our ability to debunk falsehoods, the line of inquiry followed in our study will aid in better understanding of patterns of misinformation. Thank you.